Well, hello again. I wanted to get with you just briefly to talk a little bit more about note taking. I hope you will also view the video that I gave you on steps for making a four-part foldable. That is a separate recording or a separate video. But these are some things that I think you should know about note taking. First of all, it has been proven that taking down notes when you're in a class, when you're in a session, when you're learning new material, it actually increases your brain's ability to hold on to that information. And I noticed that some of you take notes well and you show me your notes on the camera. I want to remind you that if you don't show me on the camera, if you're not in the live session, you can always take a picture of your notes and send them to me and get extra class dojo points. But the greater benefit for you is once again, you help your brain to hold on to that information when you do this. So, one of the ways, though, that I want to tell you about note taking that will help you is the use of bullet points. As an example, I have three here. Prefixes come before the root word, suffixes come after the root word. The base word or root word is the word from which other words grow. Just three real quick definitions, the highlights of possibly a lesson on prefixes, suffixes, and root words, or the key points. I'm going to use those terms a lot, highlights and key points, because that's where your note taking usually comes into play. There's other material on my videos, there's other material on the lessons and the slides that we use in class, but some of them are highlights and key points, and they are enclosed in ovals to help you remember, I need to write this down. Okay. Also, another way that you can do this is um, when there is a chance to do a graphic organizer. Now, this is only one example. This is called the Venn diagram, and it is useful to compare and contrast two things. Your circles do not have to be perfect. Just draw them so that they overlap. And in the example here, I am comparing and contrasting or telling how fish and birds are alike and different. And so you have the labels at the top, fish and bird. Then you have here both, because in the middle you tell how they're alike. And on the different sides, you tell how they're different. With you being in the fourth grade, I want to see at least four in each side of your Venn diagrams, if at all possible. And so we have over here a picture of the fish next to the word, picture of the bird next to the word bird. Pictures definitely help your brain remember things. Images work, illustrations work. And you can probably tell that I'm not the best artist. It's not about that. Drawing the picture will further help you with your note taking. So I put the fish swims, whereas the bird flies. The fish have gills, whereas the bird has wings. The fish is covered with scales, whereas the bird is covered with feathers. The fish have backbones, and whereas the bird has hollow bones. Those hollow bones help it to fly. And then I put some things in the middle that for both of them, there's many species. They are both living things and they both come in many sizes. So that's an example. You got a little kid here taking notes the way that it works for them. And that's what you are going to want to find. There's going to be a few ways that might work better for you than other ways. And the Venn diagram is one of many graphic organizers. It's just a way of organizing your notes. So this is only one example of a graphic organizer. There's also taking notes with the foldables. And here is an example of a two-part foldable. And in this case, I put, of course, the heading. You always want that, including what it is you're studying, because it's easier to go back to your notes and find them. And then I have a two-part foldable and they're labeled antonyms and courage. And then when you flip those flaps up, because I cut it down here in the middle, not perfectly in the middle, but definitely not all the way to the top. And then I have the definition. Antonyms definition is here. The definition for courage is here. And so that's another way. And two-part foldable, and even the four-part foldable that I showed you how to do in one of my other videos for this week are only just two examples of foldables, and we'll probably go over some other types. There's also the Frayer model. Some people say Frayer, and it is another way of taking notes for new words that you come across. So you would want to have the foldable in four parts. The squares or almost squares are pretty close in size, equal in size, and then the word itself in the middle here. And here's one that I've completed on a simple word, because my idea is not that you have to have complicated words, but just to show you how to use the Frayer model. And so you have one section labeled definition, another characteristic, but sometimes you can put use in a sentence instead of characteristic. And then you have examples and you have a picture. Once again, pictures are excellent for helping your brain remember something. And I know that all of you know what a shoe is, but just say you came across someone that did not, then this kind of Frayer model for vocabulary will help that person to know that a shoe is, definition, a covering for the foot, or is footwear, something you wear on your feet or your foot. And then the characteristics, they cover the feet, they absorb shock when you walk. Your bones and your joints can't take all of that shock if you're constantly walking, constantly running, constantly moving, and putting pressure on your feet. So actually shoes help with that as well. And then some examples of different kinds of shoes: boots, sneakers, flip-flops, sandals, slippers. And then I drew a picture of only one kind, the boots. It's winter right now, and I guess that's what I'm thinking of, how warm boots can be for days like we've been having lately. And our last little bit is on some other little things to be mindful of. One of them is sometimes you can use letters if you think you can remember what it stands for. Like if the class is going fast or the lecture or whatever is going a little fast for you, you can always go back later and finish filling it out. But like you could put a P for prefix and S for suffix. And this is good, especially if you have a good heading, because you probably already have a heading that tells you that it's on affixes, which is prefixes and suffixes, or something like that. And then also use different colors for different parts of your notes. That also helps your brain. And then drawing pictures. And then using memory joggers, like when I talk about context clues, I talk about the three houses: the house you're in, the house in front of you, the house behind you or next to you. The positioning of them is just like our sentences. We would look in the sentence where a new word is and the sentences around it to figure out the meaning of it, just like you would look in your own house and then the houses right next door if you're friendly and visit the neighbors to look for something if you lose it. And also breadcrumbs, also with context clues. Acronyms such as IDEAS, that's also something we've used for context clues. And then songs, raps, or poems, either ones that someone else has made or make your own. Look back at your notes and see if you can come up with your own song, rap, poem, or your own acronym, or your own type of memory joggers. And that will help you. You are your best helper. Even with teachers and all kinds of other resources, you are your best helper. So that's it on note taking. And once again, be sure and watch the video where I show you how to do the four-part foldable for note taking. Stay safe and warm, and goodbye and good night.